The words of a murderer. The doctors called it a miracle. A 10-year-old girl received a heart transplant that saved her life. But only weeks after the surgery, she started having nightmares. Not ordinary nightmares. These dreams were so detailed, so horrifying, that they eventually led police to a real murder. A killer who confessed after hearing words that no living person should have known. Because the little girl didn't just receive a new heart, she may have inherited someone else's final memories. And what scientists discovered afterward made the case even more terrifying. 10-year-old Lily Harper had spent most of her childhood in hospitals. Born with a rare heart condition, she had grown weaker every year. By the time she turned 10, doctors warned her parents that she likely wouldn't survive another winter without a transplant. Her heart was failing. Every day became a waiting game. Machines beeped constantly beside her bed. Nurses checked her vitals every hour. Her parents barely slept. Then one rainy Thursday night, the phone finally rang. A donor heart had become available. The surgery lasted nearly 11 hours. Doctors worked through the night while Lily's parents sat frozen in the waiting room praying. At sunrise, the surgeon finally stepped through the doors. The transplant was successful. For the first time in months, Lily's parents cried tears of relief. Over the next few weeks, Lily improved rapidly. Her skin regained color. She started laughing again, eating normally, walking without collapsing. It felt like a miracle. But then the nightmares began. The first one came exactly 17 days after the surgery. At 3:14 in the morning, Lily woke up screaming, crying, screaming again. Her mother rushed into the room and found Lily pressed into the corner of the bed, shaking violently. "There's a man in the woods," Lily whispered. Her father searched the house immediately. Every room, every closet, every window, nothing was there. Doctors assumed the nightmare was trauma from the surgery. Children often experience emotional disturbances after major medical procedures, the doctor said. But the dream kept happening every night, and each nightmare became more vivid. At first, Lily only described darkness, tall trees, cold wind, mud under her feet, running. But after a few days, the details became terrifyingly specific. She described running through the woods at night, branches cutting her arms, the sound of heavy footsteps behind her, a man chasing her. "He keeps getting closer," she whispered to the mother at night. "He's angry." Soon Lily became terrified of sleeping. She refused to turn off the lights. She begged her parents to stay awake with her. Dark circles formed under her eyes. Then one night, she said something that chilled her parents to the bone. "I don't think it's a dream anymore." Her mother knelt beside her bed. "What do you mean?" Lily started toward the window. "It feels like it already happened." Concerned, Lily's parents brought her back to the hospital. Doctors ran tests, brain scans, sleep studies. Everything appeared normal. Finally, Lily's physician admitted the situation was beyond his expertise and referred the family to a psychiatrist named Dr. Marcus Hale. Dr. Hale specialized in childhood trauma. He expected anxiety, hallucinations, post-surgical stress. What he heard instead disturbed him deeply. During his first session, Lily described the woods in incredible detail. The smell of wet dirt, the freezing air in her lungs, the exact sound of leaves crunching under someone's boots. "These aren't ordinary dreams," Dr. Hale told her parents afterward. That sentence changed everything. Over the following weeks, Lily continued describing the same horrifying event. Every detail remained identical. Real dreams usually shift and change, but Lily's never did. Night after night, she relived the same scene. running, crying, falling. Then the man catching her. She said he wore an old brown hunting jacket. He smelled like gasoline, and before killing her, he leaned close to her and whispered something. Something we can't mention. The words of a murderer. Words Lily repeated perfectly every single session. Dr. Hale felt physically sick hearing them. Eventually, he contacted local authorities. Most detectives dismissed the story immediately. The child's nightmare wasn't evidence, but one investigator, Detective Raymond Torres, became interested after hearing Lily's description. Months earlier, a 10-year-old girl named Sophie Crane had vanished near a wooden hiking trail 30 miles away. Her body had never been found. The similarities bothered him enough that he agreed to meet Lily personally. The detective Torres brought a forensic artist. At first, Lily seemed nervous, but once the artist began sketching, something strange happened. Lily became unusually calm, almost focused. She described the man carefully, his eyes, his hair, his clothes, his shoes. Then she added one more detail. He has keys. The artist paused. What kind of keys? 3 keys, Lily answered immediately. They jingle when he walks. The room fell silent. Hours later, the sketch was complete. When Detective Torres looked at it, a chill ran down his spine because he recognized the face, not from the missing girl's case, but from an old police report involving trespassing near the same forest. A mechanic named Daniel Voss. Police quickly brought him in for questioning. At first, Voss remained calm, relaxed, confident. He denied knowing Sophie Crane. He denied ever being near the woods, denied everything. Then Detective Torres placed a sketch on the table. Voss stared at it silently. His hands started shaking, and he grasped his head. That little girl drew this? He asked quietly. Torres said nothing. Then he mentioned the words, "Now you disappear." The color drained from Voss's face instantly. How'd you know that? The detective froze. According to his confession, Sophie Crane had been walking home after visiting a friend when he abducted her near the forest trail. She escaped briefly and ran through the woods, but he caught her. Exactly where Lily's nightmare always ended. Voss admitted that before killing Sophie, he whispered the same words Lily had repeated after weeks. Now you disappear. The confession shocked investigators, but the most disturbing part came next. Detectives asked how anyone could possibly know those words. Voss looked genuinely terrified. "I never told anyone," he said. Then he asked a question that haunted everyone in the room. How could that little girl hear me? How could she know? Using information from the confession, police recovered Sophie Crane's remains, buried deep in the woods exactly where Lily described. After nearly a year, the case was finally solved. Because of Lily Harper's nightmares, this little girl finally had justice. News of the case spread quickly. Some people believed Lily was psychic. Others thought she was haunted. But Dr. Hale became obsessed with another possibility. He requested records connected to Lily's heart donor. When the documents arrived, he stared at the page in disbelief. Lily's donor heart had belonged to Sophie Crane, the murdered girl, the exact same girl whose death Lily had described night after night. Revelation stunned everyone involved. scientists began discussing something controversial known as cellular memory, a theory suggesting memories might somehow be stored inside human cells, not just in the brain, but through the body, especially the heart. Some researchers believe the heart contains complex neural cells remarkably similar to those found in the human brain. Cells capable of learning, processing information, responding independently. There have been strange reports for years involving transplant patients suddenly developing new fears, cravings, habits, even emotions connected to their donors. But Lily's case was different. She didn't inherit preferences, she inherited a murder. Even after Daniel Voss was sentenced to life in prison, Lily's nightmares continued. But something changed. The fear slowly disappeared. Then one night, Lily had one final dream. She stood alone in the woods again, only this time she wasn't being chased. The little girl stood between the trees, pale, silent, smiling softly. It was Sophie. She walked towards Lily slowly and placed a hand over Lily's chest, directly over her heart. Then Sophie whispered, "Thank you for finding me." The wind moved through the trees, and Sophie disappeared in the darkness. Lily never had the nightmare again. To this day, investigators involved in the case refuse to explain how Lily knew details that were never made public, and scientists still debate whether memories can survive inside a human organ. But if cellular memory is real, then maybe our hearts remember more than emotions. Maybe they remember fear, pain, even death. And somewhere out there, someone may be walking around with memories that don't belong to them, still beating inside another person's chest. The end.